The unlikely recruit. The vast hangar bay of the Galactic Defense Academy echoed with the excited chatter of newly arrived cadets. Beings from across the known universe congregated in small clusters, their diverse forms a testament to the variety of life that had risen to sentience among the stars. Towering Krolosians with their thick, armored hides stood next to the lithe, graceful Zephyrians. The crystalline Quartzians refracted the hangar's harsh lighting, casting prismatic patterns across the floor. Amidst this gathering of the galaxy's finest stood Sarah Chen, her small human frame dwarfed by the aliens around her. She clutched her duffel bag tightly, trying to quell the nervous energy threatening to overwhelm her. Sarah was the first human ever admitted to the Academy, a feat that had required years of diplomatic negotiations and no small amount of luck. A hush fell over the crowd as the Academy's commanding officer, Grand Admiral Zixthar, glided into view. The Volcrian's gelatinous body pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, a dizzying display that immediately commanded attention. "Welcome, cadets," Zixthar's voice reverberated through the hangar, a curious mix of subsonic vibrations and high-pitched whistles that the universal translators struggled to render. "You represent the brightest and most capable individuals your species have to offer. Over the next solar cycle, you will be pushed to your limits and beyond. Many of you will fail. Those who succeed will join the ranks of the Galactic Defense Force, tasked with safeguarding our united civilization against threats both known and unknown." Sarah felt the weight of countless alien gazes upon her as Zixthar continued. "As you may have noticed, we have a unique addition to our ranks this cycle. Cadet Chen represents the species known as humanity, a relatively new addition to our galactic community. While some have questioned the wisdom of admitting a human to our hallowed institution, I assure you that Cadet Chen has met all the necessary qualifications. She will be afforded the same opportunities and face the same challenges as each of you." A low murmur rippled through the crowd. Sarah stood straighter, chin held high despite the skepticism evident in the eyes of her fellow cadets. She had known this wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to prove humanity's worth. As the cadets were dismissed to their assigned quarters, Sarah found herself walking alone. The other recruits gave her a wide berth, their body language a mix of curiosity and disdain. She caught fragments of whispered conversations, her universal translator struggling to keep up with the variety of languages. "Can't believe they let a human in. Probably won't last a week. Heard their planet is barely out of its stone age." Sarah gritted her teeth and pressed on. She knew the stakes. Humanity's recent first contact with the galactic community had been a shock to both sides. While Earth had made significant technological strides, they were still centuries behind most of the established spacefaring races. This position at the Academy was more than just an opportunity for Sarah. It was a chance to prove that humans deserved a place among the stars. Her quarters were small but functional, clearly designed to accommodate a wide range of physiologies. As Sarah began to unpack, a soft chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal a Zephyrian, its gossamer wings folded neatly against its back. "Greetings, human Chen." The Zephyrian's melodic voice filled the room. "I am Erila, your assigned mentor for the duration of your stay at the Academy." Sarah bowed slightly, recalling her cultural sensitivity training. "It's an honor to meet you, Mentor Erila. Please, call me Sarah." Erila's iridescent eyes blinked in what Sarah hoped was approval. "Very well, Sarah. I must admit, I was surprised when I received this assignment. Humans are something of an unknown quantity in the greater galactic community. I hope you will not find my questions too intrusive, but I am quite curious about your species." Sarah smiled, grateful for the opportunity to engage in friendly conversation. "I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, Mentor Erila. And I have quite a few of my own, if you're willing to indulge me." The Zephyrian's wings rustled in what Sarah interpreted as amusement, a fair exchange. "Tell me, Sarah, what motivated you to join the Academy? Surely you must be aware of the challenges you will face here." Sarah's expression grew serious. "I am aware, Mentor, But humanity has always thrived on challenges. We may be newcomers to the galactic stage, but we have a long history of overcoming seemingly insurmountable odds. I'm here to prove that humans can contribute meaningfully to the defense of our shared civilization. Ariella was silent for a moment, her compound eyes studying Sarah intently. A noble goal, young one. But I must warn you, the trials ahead will test you in ways you cannot imagine. Many cadets with far more advanced physiologies and technologies have failed to complete the Academy's training. Sarah nodded, her determination evident in her voice. I understand, Mentor. But humans have a saying. The harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. I'm prepared to give everything I have to succeed here. The Zephyrian's wings shimmered, a sign of respect in their culture. Your spirit is admirable, Sarah. I look forward to seeing how you fare in the trials to come. Now let us review your schedule. Your first combat assessment will begin at dawn, and I suggest you be well rested. As Ariella explained the intricacies of the Academy's training regimen, Sarah felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. Tomorrow would be her first real test, a chance to show what humans were capable of. She knew the odds were stacked against her, but Sarah was determined to surprise her alien classmates. That night, as she lay in her bunk designed for a physiology far different from her own, Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. She recalled the rigorous training she had undergone on Earth, the countless hours spent studying alien cultures and technologies. It had all led to this moment, this opportunity to redefine humanity's place in the universe. As sleep finally claimed her, Sarah's last thoughts were of home, of the billions of humans watching and waiting, their hopes riding on her success. She would not let them down. Tomorrow, she would take the first step towards proving that humanity belonged among the stars. The artificial dawn of the Academy broke, bathing Sarah's quarters in a soft alien light. She rose quickly, her body tense with anticipation. Today was the day she would face her first real test, the combat assessment that would set the tone for her entire Academy experience. As she made her way to the training grounds, Sarah couldn't help but notice the stares and whispers that followed her. The other cadets gave her a wide berth, their alien features contorted in expressions of curiosity, skepticism, and in some cases, outright derision. The training arena was a massive circular space with a domed ceiling that seemed to stretch into infinity. Holographic projectors lined the walls, capable of creating any environment imaginable. Sarah joined the crowd of cadets gathering in the center, feeling dwarfed by the towering forms around her. Grand Admiral Zixthar's gelatinous form pulsed with anticipation as he addressed the assembled cadets. Today, you will face your first combat assessment. This is not a test of brute strength or advanced technology. It is a test of adaptability, quick thinking, and the ability to overcome unexpected challenges. You will each enter a randomly generated scenario and must survive for as long as possible against increasingly difficult odds. Remember, in real combat, survival is often victory enough. Sarah's heart raced as she watched the first few cadets take their turns. A corrosion lasted an impressive 15 minutes in a simulated acid swamp before being overwhelmed. A Quartzian shattered after only 5 minutes in a high-gravity environment. Each scenario seemed designed to exploit the weaknesses of the individual species. Finally, it was Sarah's turn. She stepped forward, acutely aware of the skeptical gazes boring into her back. The holographic projectors hummed to life, and suddenly Sarah found herself in the middle of a dense alien jungle. The air was thick with humidity, and strange, bioluminescent plants cast an eerie glow over the landscape. A mechanical voice announced the start of the simulation, and Sarah immediately dropped into a crouch, her senses on high alert. The jungle was unnaturally quiet, setting her nerves on edge. Suddenly, a flash of movement caught her eye. A predator, sleek and reptilian, launched itself from the underbrush. Sarah's training kicked in. She rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the creature's razor-sharp claws. As she came up, she grabbed a nearby branch, wielding it like a staff. The alien predator circled her, its eyes glowing with malevolent intelligence. In the observation area, the other cadets watched with a mix of curiosity and disdain. "The human won't last 5 minutes," a Krolosian rumbled. "Their species is too frail, too slow." But as the minutes ticked by, Sarah continued to surprise them. She used the environment to her advantage, leading the predator into tight spaces where its larger size became a hindrance. When a second and third predator joined the hunt, Sarah adapted her strategy, using the creature's aggression against each other. 10 minutes passed, then 15. The alien cadets watched in growing disbelief as the human continued to evade and counterattack. Sarah's movements were a blur of efficiency, each action calculated to conserve energy while maximizing effect. At the 20-minute mark, the simulation suddenly shifted. The jungle dissolved, replaced by a barren, rocky landscape with low gravity. Without missing a beat, Sarah adjusted her movements, using the reduced gravity to leap impossible distances and stay out of reach of her pursuers. "Impossible," a Zephyrian cadet whispered. "How can a primitive species adapt so quickly?" Erila, watching from the sidelines, felt a surge of pride for her human charge. "Perhaps," she mused, "we have underestimated the potential of these humans." As the simulation passed the 30-minute mark, even Grand Admiral Zixthar's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with surprise. The human had outlasted many of the so-called superior species, displaying a level of adaptability and resourcefulness that defied expectations. Finally, after 45 grueling minutes, Sarah's luck ran out. Cornered by a pack of simulated predators, she fought valiantly, but was eventually overwhelmed. As the holographic projectors powered down, Sarah found herself back in the training arena, breathing heavily and drenched in sweat. The silence that greeted her was deafening. The alien cadets stared at her with a mixture of shock, respect, and in some cases, a newfound wariness. Grand Admiral Zixthar glided forward, his gelatinous form rippling with what Sarah hoped was approval. "Cadet Chen," the Admiral's voice reverberated through the arena. "You have surprised us all. Your performance was unexpected. It seems we may have misjudged the capabilities of your species." Sarah stood tall, her chest heaving as she caught her breath. "Thank you, Admiral. Humans may lack the physical advantages of many species here, but we make up for it in other ways. Adaptability, creativity, and sheer determination have allowed us to survive and thrive on our homeworld. Those same traits will serve us well as we take our place in the galactic community." A murmur of conversation rippled through the crowd of cadets. Sarah could sense a shift in their perception. She was no longer just a curiosity or an object of derision. She had proven herself a worthy competitor, someone to be taken seriously. As Sarah made her way back to her quarters, she was stopped by a Krolosian cadet, the same one who had dismissed her chances earlier. The massive alien looked down at her, its armored hide gleaming under the Academy's lights. "Human," the Krolosian's voice was a low rumble. "I may have spoken hastily before. Your performance was impressive. Perhaps there is more to your species than we realized." Sarah smiled, extending her hand in the human gesture of greeting. "Thank you. I look forward to learning from you and all the other species here. Together, we can create a stronger, more unified galactic defense force." The Krolosian looked at her outstretched hand in confusion before tentatively extending its own massive paw. As they shook hands, Sarah felt a small surge of hope. It was a small step, but an important one. She had begun to change perceptions, to show that humanity had earned its place among the stars. As she finally reached her quarters, exhausted but exhilarated, Sarah knew that this was only the beginning. There would be many more challenges ahead, more opportunities to prove herself and her species. But for now, she had made a statement. Humanity was here to stay, ready to stand shoulder to shoulder, or whatever passed for shoulders, with the most advanced species in the galaxy. The coming days and weeks would test her in ways she couldn't imagine, but Sarah was ready. She had taken the first step towards securing humanity's future among the stars, and she was determined to see it through to the end. As she drifted off to sleep, her last thoughts were of the endless possibilities that lay ahead, not just for her, but for all of humanity. First impressions and hidden strengths. The days following Sarah's surprising performance in the combat assessment were a whirlwind of activity. Word of the human cadet's unexpected success spread quickly through the academy, sparking intense debates and revaluations among both students and faculty. Sarah found herself the center of attention, a stark contrast to the isolation she had experienced upon her arrival. As she made her way to the Academy's vast lecture hall for theoretical studies, she couldn't help but notice the change in how her fellow cadets regarded her. The open hostility and dismissiveness had been replaced by curiosity, and in some cases, grudging respect. The lecture hall was a marvel of alien architecture, its tiered seating arranged in a perfect acoustic spiral that allowed even the softest whisper to be heard clearly throughout the space. Sarah took her seat, acutely aware of the diverse array of beings around her. To her left, a Quartzian cadet's crystalline form refracted the room's light into dazzling patterns. To her right, a Zephyrian's gossamer wings twitched with anticipation. Professor Xandor, a venerable Volcrian known for his groundbreaking work in xenobiology, glided to the center of the hall. His gelatinous form pulsed with patterns of light that Sarah had learned indicated deep thought and concentration. Today, Xandor's voice resonated through the hall. We will discuss the concept of evolutionary advantages in combat situations. Each species represented here has developed unique traits that provide distinct advantages in certain scenarios. However, as we have recently seen, raw physical capabilities are not always the determining factor in survival. Sarah felt the weight of numerous alien gazes upon her as Xandor continued. Cadet Chen's performance in the combat assessment has raised intriguing questions about the nature of adaptability and problem-solving in high-stress situations. It seems that human physiology, while perhaps not as specialized as some, offers a remarkable degree of flexibility. A Krolosian cadet raised one of its massive, armored appendages. Professor, with all due respect, how can a species with no natural armor, limited strength, and no innate weapons compete with more evolved races in real combat situations? Before Xandor could respond, Sarah found herself speaking up. If I may, Professor. At Xandor's nod of assent, Sarah stood, facing her peers. It's true that humans lack many of the physical advantages enjoyed by other species. We can't regrow limbs like the exolitons, we don't have natural armor like the Krolosians, and we certainly can't generate energy fields like the Quartzians. But throughout our history, humans have faced and overcome challenges by adapting and innovating. She paused, gathering her thoughts. On our homeworld, we weren't the strongest, fastest, or most resilient species, but we learned to use tools, to work together, and to think creatively. We studied our environment and turned that knowledge into technology. In a way, our greatest strength is our ability to recognize and compensate for our weaknesses. The lecture hall was silent for a moment as the alien cadets processed Sarah's words. Then, a Zephyrian spoke up, its melodic voice filled with curiosity. But surely there must be some innate qualities that have allowed your species to progress so rapidly. In the short time since your discovery, humans have made remarkable strides in adapting to galactic technologies. Sarah nodded, warming to the subject. We have a saying on Earth, necessity is the mother of invention. When faced with challenges, humans have a unique ability to think outside conventional boundaries. We're not constrained by millions of years of specialized evolution. Instead, we've developed a mental flexibility that allows us to approach problems from multiple angles. Professor Xandor's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with approval. An excellent point, Cadet Chen. This adaptability you speak of is indeed a formidable asset. It allows humans to utilize a wide range of tools and strategies, rather than relying on a single evolutionary advantage. The discussion continued, with cadets from various species offering insights into their own evolutionary strengths and weaknesses. Sarah found herself engaged in a lively debate with a Krolosian cadet about the relative merits of natural armor versus tactical thinking. As the lecture drew to a close, Sarah felt a sense of accomplishment. She had not only held her own in a discussion with beings far more advanced than herself, but she had also begun to change perceptions about humanity's potential. The following days brought new challenges as the cadets moved on to more specialized training. Sarah found herself in the Academy's Advanced Technology Lab, surrounded by devices that seemed to defy the laws of physics as she understood them. Mentor Ariela stood beside her, wings shimmering with anticipation. "Today, Sarah, you will attempt to interface with some of our more complex equipment. Many of these devices are designed to be intuitive for most galactic species, but we're unsure how a human mind will interact with them." Sarah approached a sleek, obelisk-like structure that hummed with barely contained energy. "What does this do?" she asked, her curiosity overcoming her apprehension. "This is a neural interface enhancer," Ariela explained. "It allows the user to process vast amounts of information rapidly, essentially expanding the mind's capabilities. However, it requires a certain level of psychic aptitude to activate." Sarah's heart sank. Humans had no known psychic abilities, a fact that had been a point of much discussion, and some derision, among her alien peers. "I'm not sure I'll be able to use this, Mentor. Humans don't have. Don't assume limitations before you've tried, Sarah," Ariela interrupted gently. "Remember, many of these devices adapt to the user. Your unique neural structure may interact with it in ways we haven't anticipated." Taking a deep breath, Sarah placed her hand on the obelisk's smooth surface. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, suddenly, she felt a tingling sensation at the base of her skull. The world around her seemed to blur and expand simultaneously. Information flooded her mind. Star charts, tactical analyses, complex mathematical equations, all somehow making perfect sense. Ariela's voice seemed to come from a great distance. "Remarkable. The interface has adapted to your neural pathways in a way we've never seen before. It's not utilizing psychic energy, but rather, Sarah, I believe it's tapping into your species' capacity for abstract thought and pattern recognition." As the connection faded and the lab came back into focus, Sarah staggered slightly, overwhelmed by the experience. "That was incredible," she breathed. "It was like I could see connections between ideas that I never would have made on my own." Ariela's wings quivered with excitement. "This is a significant discovery, Sarah. It appears that human minds, while lacking traditional psychic abilities, have a unique capacity for integrating and processing diverse types of information. This could have far-reaching implications for how humans might contribute to galactic defense strategies." As word of Sarah's success with the neural interface spread, she found herself the subject of intense interest from both her fellow cadets and the Academy's research division. The following weeks were a blur of tests, experiments, and new training regimens designed to explore the full potential of human cognitive abilities. Sarah threw herself into her studies with renewed vigor. Each day brought new discoveries, not just about alien technologies and combat techniques, but about the hidden strengths of her own species. She began to see how humanity's adaptability and innovative thinking could complement the more specialized abilities of other races. One evening, as she sat in the Academy's observation dome, watching the unfamiliar constellations wheel overhead, Sarah reflected on how far she had come. She was no longer just a curiosity or an unlikely recruit. She was proving, day by day, that humanity had something unique and valuable to offer the galactic community. A group of cadets from various species entered the dome, and to Sarah's surprise, they invited her to join their discussion. As they debated the finer points of interstellar strategy and the philosophical implications of faster-than-light travel, Sarah felt a sense of belonging she hadn't experienced since leaving Earth. She was still an outsider in many ways, still learning to navigate the complex web of alien cultures and technologies that surrounded her. But she was also a pioneer, blazing a trail for humanity among the stars. And as she engaged in the lively discussion with her alien peers, Sarah knew that this was only the beginning of humanity's journey in the vast, wondrous, and often dangerous galaxy they now called home. The Crucible of Combat. The Academy's massive combat simulation chamber hummed with energy as cadets from across the galaxy prepared for their most grueling test yet. Sarah stood among them, her heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and nervousness. This wasn't just another training exercise. It was the Crucible, a rite of passage that would push each cadet to their absolute limits. Grand Admiral Zixthar's gelatinous form pulsed with intense patterns as he addressed the assembled cadets. Today, you faced the true test of a Galactic Defense Force officer. The Crucible will challenge not just your physical abilities, but your mental fortitude, strategic thinking, and ability to adapt under extreme pressure. Many of you will fail. Those who succeed will have proven themselves worthy of advancing to the next phase of your training. Sarah caught the eye of Crix, a Krolosian cadet she had befriended over the past few weeks. His armored hide gleamed under the chamber's harsh lighting, but she could see the nervousness in his compound eyes. She gave him a reassuring nod, which he returned with a gesture that approximated a thumbs up. The Crucible is divided into 3 phases, Zixthar continued. Survival, strategy, and sacrifice. You will be divided into teams, but remember, while cooperation is essential, this is ultimately an individual assessment. Your actions and decisions will determine your fate. As the teams were announced, Sarah found herself grouped with Crix, a Lith Zephyrian named Lyra, and a Quartzian called Zix. An odd combination, but Sarah knew that in the Crucible, diversity could be a strength. The first phase began without warning. The simulation chamber transformed into a harsh, alien landscape, a storm-racked moon orbiting a gas giant. Toxic rain pelted the ground, and the low gravity made every movement a potential disaster. Survival protocol initiated. A mechanical voice announced, "Locate shelter and necessary resources within 30 minutes or face elimination." Sarah's mind raced. The toxic rain was eating through their standard-issue uniforms, and the volatile atmosphere made breathing difficult. She noticed Zix, the Quartzian, starting to crack under the pressure. Literally. The acidic environment was affecting his crystalline structure. "Crix," Sarah shouted over the howling wind. "Use your armor to shield Zix. Lyra, your wings can help us navigate this low gravity. I'll scout ahead for shelter." As her teammates moved to protect their most vulnerable member, Sarah bounded across the treacherous terrain, her human flexibility allowing her to adapt quickly to the low gravity. She spotted a cave entrance half hidden behind a rock formation and signaled to the others. Once inside, they worked together to seal the entrance, creating a safe haven from the toxic storm. Sarah's quick thinking and their teamwork had saved them from immediate elimination, but she knew this was only the beginning. The second phase, strategy, proved even more challenging. The cave system they had entered turned out to be an ancient alien facility, filled with puzzles and traps. Holographic enemies lurked around every corner, each requiring a different approach to defeat. "This is impossible," Crix growled after their third failed attempt to bypass a particularly nasty energy barrier. "These puzzles don't make any sense." Sarah studied the alien symbols etched into the walls, her mind racing. During her training on Earth, she had developed a knack for recognizing patterns in seemingly random data, a skill that had proven unexpectedly useful in deciphering alien languages and technologies. "Wait," she said, her eyes widening with realization. "These aren't just random symbols. They're a code, but not a linear one. It's 3-dimensional. Using her hands to manipulate the holographic interface, Sarah began rearranging the symbols in midair. To her teammates' astonishment, the barrier flickered and died. "How did you do that?" Lyra asked, her wings quivering with excitement. Sarah grinned. "Humans have a saying, think outside the box. Sometimes the solution isn't obvious until you look at the problem from a completely different angle." As they progressed deeper into the facility, each team member found opportunities to shine. Crix's strength and natural armor proved invaluable in physical confrontations. Lyra's ability to fly and squeeze through tight spaces allowed her to scout ahead and disable traps. Zix's crystalline body could refract energy beams, turning deadly weapons into harmless light shows. But it was Sarah's adaptability and lateral thinking that often provided the key to overcoming the most complex challenges. Her human perspective, so different from the specialized thinking of her alien teammates, allowed her to see solutions where others saw only obstacles. As they neared what seemed to be the heart of the facility, the mechanical voice returned. Final phase initiated. Sacrifice. Only one team member may proceed to the central chamber. Choose wisely. The team looked at each other, the weight of the decision heavy in the air. They had come so far together, relying on each other's strengths to overcome impossible odds. Now they had to decide who would continue and who would face elimination. "It should be Sarah," Lyra said finally, breaking the tense silence. "She's gotten us this far. Her adaptability gives her the best chance of success, whatever's waiting in that chamber." Crix nodded his massive head in agreement. "The human has proven herself a worthy warrior and strategist. I would be honored to step aside." Zix's crystalline form shimmered in what Sarah had learned was a sign of agreement. "Your species' unique perspective may be the key to completing this trial. Go, Sarah. Represent us well." Overwhelmed by her teammates' faith in her, Sarah struggled to find words. "I thank you. I won't let you down." As she stepped towards the chamber entrance, Sarah felt the weight of not just her team's expectations, but those of her entire species. She was humanity's representative, carrying the hopes and dreams of billions who looked to the stars and wondered if they truly belonged. The central chamber was a perfect sphere, its walls covered in swirling patterns of light that seemed to respond to Sarah's presence. In the center floated a pulsating orb of energy, its surface rippling with images of distant worlds and ancient battles. A voice, different from the mechanical one that had guided them so far, filled the chamber. It was old, impossibly old, and tinged with both wisdom and sadness. "So, the humans have finally joined us among the stars," the voice said. "You stand here, young one, as a representative of your species, but are you truly ready for the burden that comes with that responsibility?" Sarah stood tall, her voice steadied despite her racing heart. "I am. Humanity has much to learn, but we also have much to offer. Our adaptability, our creativity, our determination. These are the qualities that have allowed us to survive and thrive against impossible odds." "Pretty words," the voice replied, a hint of amusement in its tone. "But the galaxy is vast and often cruel. How can your young species hope to stand against threats that have extinguished civilizations far more advanced than your own?" Sarah thought of her journey, of the challenges she had overcome and the bonds she had formed with beings so different from herself. "We don't stand alone," she said firmly. "Humanity's strength lies not just in our own abilities, but in our capacity to work alongside others, to find common ground and shared purpose even with those who seem alien to us." She gestured to the orb, its swirling images reflecting in her eyes. "This crucible has taught me that true strength comes not from individual power, but from the bonds we forge and the wisdom we gain from each other. Humanity is ready to take its place among the stars not as conquerors or subjects, but as partners in the great endeavor of galactic civilization." The chamber fell silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, the orb began to descend, coming to rest in Sarah's outstretched hands. As she touched it, knowledge flooded her mind, the histories of 1,000 worlds, the rise and fall of ancient empires, the delicate balance that held the galaxy together. "You have passed the final test, Sarah Chin of Earth," the voice said, now filled with warmth and hope. "You have shown that humanity, for all its youth and inexperience, possesses a spirit that may yet bring new light to our old stars. Go forth and lead your people into a future brighter than any of us could have imagined alone." As the chamber began to fade around her, returning to the familiar surroundings of the Academy's simulation room, Sarah felt a profound sense of change. She had entered the crucible as a cadet with something to prove. She emerged as a leader, ready to guide humanity towards its destiny among the stars. Grand Admiral Zixthar's form pulsed with patterns Sarah now recognized as profound respect. Congratulations, Cadet Chen, or should I say, Lieutenant Chen. You have not only passed the crucible, but have done so in a manner that has impressed even our most skeptical observers. As her teammates rushed to congratulate her, Sarah realized that this was more than just a personal victory. She had opened a door for humanity, proving that they belonged here, among the stars and strange new worlds. The real challenge and the real adventure was just beginning. Unexpected allies. The weeks following the crucible flew by in a blur of advanced training, strategic simulations, and diplomatic exercises. Sarah, now Lieutenant Chen, found herself thrust into a leadership role she had never anticipated. Her success in the crucible had not only earned her the respect of her fellow cadets, but had also caught the attention of the Galactic Defense Forces High Command. One particularly grueling day of tactical training, Sarah was surprised to receive a summons to Grand Admiral Zixthar's private chambers. As she made her way through the Academy's winding corridors, her mind raced with possibilities. Had she done something wrong? Or was this another test? The door to Zixthar's chamber slid open silently, revealing a space that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The room appeared to stretch into infinity, filled with swirling nebulae and miniature star systems that danced in the air. At the center of this cosmic display stood the Grand Admiral, his gelatinous form pulsing with complex patterns of light. Lieutenant Chen, Zixthar's voice resonated through the chamber. Thank you for coming. We have much to discuss. Sarah saluted crisply. Of course, Admiral. How may I be of service? Zixthar's form rippled in what Sarah had come to recognize as the Volcrian equivalent of a sigh. We face a grave threat, Lieutenant, one that may require unconventional solutions. With a gesture, Zixthar brought up a holographic display of a distant sector of the galaxy. Red warning indicators pulsed ominously across several star systems. We've detected an anomaly, Zixthar explained. A form of space-time distortion unlike anything we've encountered before. It's expanding rapidly, consuming entire star systems in its wake. Sarah studied the display, her brow furrowed in concentration. Is it a natural phenomenon? We thought so at first, Zixthar replied. But recent data suggests it may be artificially created, a weapon of unimaginable power. The implications were staggering. Sarah's mind raced through possible scenarios, each more terrifying than the last. Who could possess such technology? And why use it now? Zixthar's bioluminescent patterns darkened. That's where things get complicated. Our long-range scans have picked up traces of a civilization we thought long extinct. The precursors. Sarah's eyes widened. She had learned about the precursors during her studies at the Academy. An ancient race said to have seeded life throughout the galaxy before mysteriously vanishing millions of years ago. But that's impossible, she breathed. The precursors have been gone for eons. How could they be behind this? We don't know, Zixthar admitted. But the energy signatures match ancient precursor artifacts we've studied. If they have returned, or if someone has discovered how to harness their technology, the entire galaxy could be at risk. Sarah nodded, her mind already shifting into problem-solving mode. What do you need from me, Admiral? Zixthar's form pulsed with what Sarah had come to recognize as approval. We're assembling a special task force to investigate this threat. Your unique perspective and problem-solving abilities make you an ideal candidate to join this team. I'm honored, Admiral, Sarah said, her voice filled with determination. When do we leave? Immediately, Zixthar replied. Your team is already assembled and waiting at Docking Bay 7. And Lieutenant, this mission is classified at the highest level. The fate of the galaxy may well rest in your hands. As Sarah made her way to the docking bay, her mind whirled with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. This was far beyond anything she had trained for, But she knew that humanity's adaptability might be the key to facing this unknown threat. The docking bay doors slid open, revealing a sleek, experimental ship unlike anything Sarah had seen before. Its hull seemed to shimmer, as if not quite solid, and strange energy patterns danced across its surface. Standing before the ship was the most diverse group of beings Sarah had ever encountered. She recognized Crix, the Krolosian cadet who had become one of her closest friends at the academy. Beside him stood Lyra, the Zephyrian strategist whose tactical brilliance had saved their team countless times during training exercises. But there were also faces she didn't recognize. A towering plant-like being with iridescent leaves for hair. A small rodent-like creature whose eyes glowed with an inner light that suggested vast intelligence. And most surprisingly, a being that seemed to be made entirely of swirling energy, its form barely contained within a high-tech containment suit. "Lieutenant Chen," a melodious voice called out. Sarah turned to see a Quartzian she recognized as Dr. Zara, one of the Academy's most brilliant xenorchaeologists. "Welcome to Project Starfall. We've been eagerly awaiting your arrival." Sarah saluted, then extended her hand in the human gesture of greeting. "It's an honor to be here, Dr. Zara. I look forward to working with all of you." As introductions were made, Sarah learned that each member of the team had been chosen for their unique abilities and knowledge. Crix's combat prowess and natural armor made him ideal for hostile environments. Lyra's strategic mind and ability to process vast amounts of data would be crucial in analyzing the anomaly. The plant-like being, introduced as Floria, was an expert in exotic energy fields and could survive in environments lethal to most other life forms. The rodent-like creature, called Zix, was a prodigy in quantum mechanics and had theories about the nature of the space-time distortion. But it was the energy being, known simply as Vox, who truly captured Sarah's attention. Vox, she learned, was a member of a race so advanced they had long ago shed their physical forms. Their insights into the nature of reality itself could be key to understanding the precursor technology. As the team boarded the ship, which Sarah learned was called the Nexus, she felt a surge of determination. This diverse group, with their varied skills and perspectives, represented the true strength of the Galactic Defense Force. United, they stood a chance against even the most unimaginable threats. The Nexus's engines hummed to life, a sound unlike any spacecraft Sarah had encountered before. As they prepared for departure, Dr. Zara's voice came over the intercom. "Our first stop is the edge of the anomaly," she announced. "We'll be using experimental faster-than-light technology to reach it quickly. I must warn you, the journey may be disorienting." Sarah strapped herself into her seat, exchanging a nervous glance with Crix. "What do you think we'll find out there?" she asked her friend. Crix's compound eyes glimmered with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "I don't know," he rumbled. "But whatever it is, I'm glad to have you by my side, human." As the Nexus prepared to jump into the unknown, Sarah felt a profound sense of purpose. She was no longer just a cadet trying to prove herself. She was part of something greater, a team of unlikely allies united in their mission to save the galaxy. The ship's hull began to vibrate, and reality itself seemed to bend around them. In a flash of impossible light, the Nexus vanished from known space, hurtling towards a mystery that would challenge everything they thought they knew about the universe. As they traveled through the mind-bending realm of faster-than-light space, Sarah couldn't help but reflect on the strange turns her life had taken. From a simple human cadet to a key member of a team tasked with unraveling an ancient cosmic mystery, it was more than she could have ever imagined. But as the Nexus raced towards its destination, Sarah knew that the true test still lay ahead. The fate of countless worlds now rested on the shoulders of this unlikely band of allies, and whatever they found at the edge of known space would change the course of galactic history forever. Humanity's triumph. The Nexus emerged from faster-than-light travel with a silent flash, the fabric of space-time rippling around its hull like water. Sarah's stomach lurched as normal physics reasserted itself, and she heard Crix grunt in discomfort beside her. Through the ship's view screen, they beheld a sight that defied comprehension. Before them stretched a vast, shimmering curtain of energy, pulsing with colors that shouldn't exist. It was the anomaly they had come to investigate, but seeing it firsthand was far more terrifying than any briefing could have prepared them for. Entire star systems flickered on the edge of the distortion, their light bent and twisted in impossible ways. By the first suns, Lyra whispered, her gossamer wings trembling. "It's beautiful and horrifying." Dr. Zara's voice crackled over the intercom, tense but controlled. "All teams, report to the main lab immediately. We need to begin our analysis." As they gathered in the Nexus's state-of-the-art laboratory, Sarah could feel the weight of their mission pressing down on her. Each member of the team brought unique insights to the table, but the sheer scale of what they faced was daunting. Vox, the energy being, pulsed with agitation. The distortion, it's not just bending space, it's rewriting the fundamental laws of physics in its wake, if it continues to expand. Total universal entropy, Zix finished, his whiskers twitching nervously. The end of everything. Sarah's mind raced, trying to process the implications. But why? Why would the precursors create something so destructive? Dr. Zara brought up a holographic display of the anomaly. "I don't think destruction was their intent. Look at these energy patterns. They're familiar." As the team studied the swirling data, Sarah felt a tickle of recognition in the back of her mind. There was something about the way the energy flowed, the rhythms of its pulses. "It's a language," she breathed, the realization hitting her like a thunderbolt. The anomaly isn't a weapon. It's a message. The lab erupted into a flurry of activity as the team worked to decipher the cosmic communique. Hours blended into days as they pushed themselves to the limit, fueled by the urgency of their mission and the tantalizing glimpses of understanding that emerged from the chaos. Sarah found herself at the heart of the effort, her human ability to recognize patterns and make intuitive leaps proving invaluable. She worked closely with Vox, whose non-corporeal nature allowed for a unique perspective on the energy flows, and Zix, whose quantum mechanical theories helped bridge the gap between the known and the unimaginable. As the pieces began to fall into place, a staggering truth emerged. The precursors hadn't vanished or gone extinct. They had evolved, ascending to a higher plane of existence. The anomaly was a gateway, a bridge between dimensions, and the message was an invitation. "They're calling to us," Sarah explained to the assembled team, her voice filled with awe. "The precursors have been watching, waiting for the younger races to reach a point where we could understand. This isn't a threat. It's a chance for us to join them." The implications were enormous. Access to the precursors' knowledge and technology could usher in a new golden age for the galaxy. But the risk was equally great. A single misstep in interpreting or using the gateway could unleash devastation on an unimaginable scale. As the team debated their next move, tensions ran high. Some, like Crix, argued for caution, fearing the unknown dangers that might lie beyond the gateway. Others, like Floria, saw it as a once-in-a-universe opportunity that couldn't be ignored. In the midst of the heated discussion, Sarah found herself thinking of Earth, of the long journey that had brought humanity to this point. They had always been dreamers, explorers pushing the boundaries of the possible. Now, standing on the precipice of the greatest discovery in galactic history, she knew what they had to do. "We go forward," she said, her voice cutting through the argument. All eyes turned to her as she continued. "But we go together. Not just our team, but all the races of the galaxy. This isn't a decision for any one species to make. We'll take what we've learned back to the Galactic Council. Let this be the moment that truly unites us all." Her words resonated with the team, each member recognizing the wisdom in her approach. It wasn't just about the technology or the knowledge they might gain. It was about proving that the diverse species of the galaxy could come together, combining their strengths to face the unknown. As they prepared the Nexus for the return journey, Sarah felt a profound sense of change. She had come to the Academy as a representative of humanity, hoping to prove her species' worth. Now she stood as a bridge between worlds, helping to guide the galaxy towards a future brighter than anyone could have imagined. The return to Galactic Council space was met with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Sarah and her team spent weeks briefing leaders from every corner of the galaxy, explaining the nature of the precursor gateway and the choice that lay before them. In the end, it was decided that a united expedition would be mounted. Ships from every major species would approach the gateway together, pooling their knowledge and resources to face whatever lay beyond. As Sarah stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching the gathered armada prepare for the journey of a lifetime, she felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned to see Admiral Zixthar, his gelatinous form pulsing with pride. "You've done more than prove humanity's worth, Lieutenant Chen," he said. "You've shown us all the true meaning of unity. Whatever we find on the other side of that gateway, the galaxy faces it as one." Sarah nodded, her gaze returning to the sea of stars before them. In that moment, she knew that humanity had found its place in the cosmos, not as conquerors or subjects, but as partners in the greatest adventure imaginable. As the order to advance was given, Sarah felt a thrill of excitement mixed with nervous anticipation. They were about to take the next great leap into the unknown, guided by the wisdom of the past and the promise of the future. The combined fleet of the galaxy's races moved as one towards the shimmering gateway. As they approached, the anomaly began to pulse with increased intensity, as if recognizing their presence. Sarah took a deep breath, centering herself for whatever lay ahead. In that moment, surrounded by the incredible diversity of galactic life, united in purpose and spirit, Sarah knew that they were ready to face the challenges ahead, to learn from the precursors, and to carve out their own destiny among the stars. As the gateway began to open, bathing the assembled ships in otherworldly light, Sarah whispered a phrase that had guided humanity's explorers for centuries: "Ad astra per aspera," to the stars through difficulties. And with that, humanity, along with their galactic allies, took their first step into a new era of cosmic exploration and understanding. The journey that had begun with Sarah's arrival at the Academy had led to this moment, a triumph not just for humanity, but for all sentient life in the galaxy. As they crossed the threshold into the unknown, Sarah knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The true strength of the galaxy lay not in advanced technology or individual power, but in the bonds forged between diverse peoples, united in their quest for knowledge and understanding. The story of humanity among the stars was just beginning, and Sarah Chen, once an unlikely recruit, now stood at the forefront of the greatest adventure in galactic history. The future, vast and unknowable, beckoned with infinite possibilities.